Welcome to the Paideia Way, conversations on whole person education. I'm Brian Winsor, Executive Director and founder of Paideia Academies in South Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Mrs. Victoria Jones, Executive Director of Educational Operations. Today, we're exploring building trust in our family, emotional bank accounts at home. We're so glad you're here.
Yeah, most families, they don't struggle because they lack love. I think there's love in families. They struggle because love without trust becomes fragile. A family can have really good intentions, and I think they all do. Mm-hmm. They have shared values, even good routines, but if trust is low, everything feels harder. Mm-hmm. Conversations are more tense. Correction feels personal. Conflict escalates more quickly, and even small disappointments feel bigger than they really should. And good leadership can be misunderstood when trust is weak. And if the family is the most important organization in the world, and I truly believe it is, then trust is the strength of that organization. In any healthy organization, the foundation is trust. Up, down, side to side, leader to member, member to member. The same is true in any family. The trust between caregivers and the children, trust between spouses or co-parents, trust between siblings. It's the trust that says, I am safe with you. You mean what you say. You'll repair when things go wrong, and you are here for me, not against me.
Yeah, and Brian, the things you just shared with us right now, this is why this conversation matters right here in this series. Before we move into dignity preserving, problem solving, before we start talking about win-win at home, we need to talk about the one thing that makes win-win even possible, and that's trust.
Yeah, because we're at this bridge point. Mm-hmm. The through line series, this bridge between what we've talked about and what we need to continue. Because episode 1 said, hey, what is school for? It's for formation, it's for becoming, not just achieving. Episode 2 reminded us to start inside out, principles before strategies, the why before the what. And episode 3 gave us our family North Star, the shared vision for who we're becoming. Episode 4 helps us practice choice and calm instead of react and regret. Episode 5, it helped us to build rhythms and routines that reduce friction and protect what matters most. And episode 6, the last one, helped us to think about first things first, how to protect time and attention and rituals that build family culture. But now we're at this bridge. Habits 1, 2, and 3 help us to govern ourselves. That's the private victory. Habits 4, 5, and 6 move us into a life with other people, the public victory. And we can't have the public victory until we have the private victory. Mm-hmm. And that's the bridge, is the trust.
Yes. Put simply, before a family can even solve problems well together, they need enough trust to stay connected while solving them. From our work with students and families here at Paideia, why is trust such a big deal? Why do we stop here and make such a big deal out of trust? And I know for us, it's because when trust is present, children feel safer, adults feel safer, everyone's less defensive and more open. But when trust is low, even helpful correction can feel threatening to people.
Yeah, Victoria, it's so true. Even as our leadership as executives of a company or principals of a campus, you're right. When trust is low, even those small corrections, it creates these threatening feelings, right? Mm-hmm. And that's that important point. In my years of consulting with schools and working alongside families for decades and years as well, I've seen that trust is often built or broken in those small moments, especially in how adults notice effort, respond to struggle, correct behaviors, and speak to children day after day. The importance of this trusting relationship in all organizations and classrooms to families, and something that Paideia that we use a lot. It's the emotional bank account metaphor. And this, in the language of the 7 habits, one of the most important metaphors for trust is the emotional bank account. A bank account is simply a way of thinking about the amount of trust in a relationship, like the amount of money in a bank. When we make deposits, the trust grows. But when we make withdrawals, trust, it goes down. And just like a financial bank account, you can't just keep making withdrawals from a relationship and expect it to stay healthy,
Yeah. It's not going to work. So that makes this very practical for families because every interaction is not just about that moment, but it's also about how have we affected our account? How have we affected the bank account, right? It's every tone of voice, it's every promise kept or broken, every apology offered or avoided, and every moment of attention or distraction. We are depositing or we're withdrawing, always depositing or withdrawing.
Yeah, yeah. And deposits might be they're simple things like keeping your word. A key to that is you got to resist making promises you can't keep.
Mm-hmm.
Listening all the way through, not just responding or solving the problem, but really listening to understand. A key one I found is noticing effort. Noticing effort, not noticing achievement, but noticing effort. It builds the child's self-worth. Speaking respectfully, telling the truth, making time for each children, making time for your family, repairing after we have a conflict or something goes wrong, showing warmth, protecting dignity. Withdrawals could be things, sarcasm. I found that sarcasm, even in jest,
Mm-hmm.
is a withdrawal. We think it's funny, but it's a withdrawal. The yelling cycle, or comparing children, or comparing and competing, interrupting, breaking promises. Oh, I've seen this one a few times. We get so frustrated, we lash out in public. So a public embarrassment, screen distractions, like you said a minute ago, when somebody's talking and I get on my screen, insincere apologies, or saying one thing and then doing a different thing, are constantly correcting and rarely noticing when something does go right.
Yeah. And these things happen. We've we've all
Happen.
we've all done some of these things. And one important truth for families is this. What feels like a deposit to one person may not feel like a deposit to another person.
Mm.
One child might feel loved by time, just by your attention. And another one, it might be your calm tone. Another one, it might be words of encouragement. And someone else, it just might be help. Another, by being treated with respect in front of others. So trust building is personal. It's about knowing the members of your family and what matters most to them. So how do families build healthy emotional bank accounts over time? It's very simple. First, you got to know the person's currency. You have to ask yourself, what makes this person feel seen, safe, and valued? Secondly, we must be sincere and consistent because trust is not built, it's not intensity or the amount, it's about reliability. Third is to make small deposits over time. The strongest relationships are usually not built through one big, huge, dramatic moment, but it's through many, many small moments that matter. And then fourth is to remember that close relationships require more deposits. Okay, the closer the relationship, the deeper that withdrawal feels for people, the more deeply it lands, and the more intentionally deposits matter. And then fifth, try not to make withdrawals, and then when you do, genuinely apologize. We don't do it defensively, not half-heartedly, not, oh, I'm so sorry that you felt that way, but be honest and sincere in your apology if you make a withdrawal. I was wrong. That hurt you. I want to repair this.
I like that, Victoria, how you said you didn't. I like how you didn't say do not make withdrawals. It's like try not to, because we are way human.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'll make withdrawal unintentionally. I didn't know I did. But even though I didn't intentionally make withdrawal, I'm trying not to, but I've just got to go back and repair that thing.
Yeah.
You know, over the years, I know this is difficult. And sometimes, and I also value what you said about it's not the big deposit. I think you said making those small deposits over time, $1 deposits over time, $10 deposits over time. Sometimes it's hard to remember. Over the years in my work with schools and families as a consultant, I kept seeing the same pattern that adults are trying to make deposits. They're trying to encourage kids, but instead of really noticing effort, they slip into this quick automatic praise mode, like good job, good job, good job, nice work, that's beautiful, you're awesome, you're so smart, and this is like this, I call it this like spatter gun of praise. And while it's good intention and they may be warm, it's often too vague really to build the kind of trust and clarity and growth that we really want of nurturing that relationship. Because a good job, or you're so smart, or that's awesome, it communicates approval, but it doesn't always communicate understanding. And children, like adults, we grow when we feel accurately seen, not flattered, not managed, not manipulated, but truly seen. So I developed this simple framework to help parents and teachers move from generic praise to meaningful reinforcement. I called it feeding, the feeding rules for noticing effort. And feeding is just this acronym. It's just FEEDING. F stands for frequently. So deliver positive verbal reinforcement much more often than correction or criticism. I've heard it say, 4-to-1 positive over negative. And I've said that thing too, but I think you got to know that some kids need it more. Some kids, that one correction is going to be much more of a withdrawal than others. Well, you've got little Olivia, right? She's 1.
Yeah.
And I've got little Tyler as a granddaughter, and I know when I tell Tyler no, it's like this bomb went off, and she's so then I've got to go and repair that thing over time. So you just got to know your kids well enough. So F is frequently. E is eye contact. Eye contact is so important in this. It's make that kind, friendly, compassionate eye contact, because our eyes communicate safety before our words do. Years ago, I got in a habit of when I'm visiting with someone and I know I need to nurture the relationship, I gain eye contact, I listen carefully, and in the back of my mind, I'm saying their name and I love you. So I'm listening, and at the same time, I'm saying, Zoe, I love you. And I think that communicates through my eyes to nurture that relationship and value that person. So E is enthusiasm. You match the level of the enthusiasm of the child, because a kindergartner or a toddler, they like a lot more excitement of enthusiasm being noticed than a teenager. They just might need a good knuckle bump, or just a subtle acknowledgement that we see them. The goal isn't performance. The goal is impact. D, so crucial. D is describe the desired behavior. Don't just say you're amazing or good job, you're so smart, that's so good, but clearly describe the behavior that you want to reinforce. For example, I noticed you stayed with that difficult problem. I saw the way you kept your voice calm. I heard the encouraging words you used. That looked so kind. That kind of noticing tells the child what matters in your family. I, immediate. Notice the effort as close to the moment as possible. That helps the child connect the reinforcement that what you notice to the actual behavior. N, name the student or the child. We love hearing our name and used in a positive message. It makes it personal. As a child, I don't know if you had this, but Victoria, but When my mother said, Robert Brian Windsor, you get over here, I knew she meant business. But she also
Yeah.
would use my name, Brian. I'm proud of you,
Yeah. Names are important.
Names are important. And finally, G, be genuine about this. Be sincere. Kids, adults, we can always spot a fake or manipulative praise. We know when we're being manipulated. Trust grows when reinforcement is honest and deserved.
Yeah. Brian, this framework is so helpful. This is great. This really gives families something more powerful than just saying good job. It gives us a way to make specific, genuine deposits into a child's emotional bank account. And that changes the emotional climate especially in that moment.
Mm.
When children feel like adults only notice mistakes, they become even more guarded. They don't feel safe in that. But when they feel their effort is being noticed honestly, they begin to feel safer, more confident, more open, and that opens up the relationship.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. And here's a challenge with my first framework that I developed. It's so long, it's a lot of letters. So feeding, like, well, which part is this? Which part is this? So over time, I whittled it down to 3 simple steps. And I call this the power praise phrase.
Mhm.
It's just 3 simple parts. I can do this in a heartbeat. It has 3 parts. First, use the child's name. Second, describe the desired behavior. Third, attach a characteristic to that behavior. So instead of this phrase of good job, that's amazing, or we're saying, we say something like this. Aubrey, I saw how you really stayed focused on your homework tonight. Man, you're all in. That showed real focus. Sean, I just heard the encouraging words you said to your sister. That was so kind. I bet it made her feel good. Jake, this one's true. Jake, I noticed how you took 3 breaths when Tyler broke your crayons just now. Oh, that was some strong self-control. Zoe, this was the other night. Zoe, man, I appreciate so much how you help clear the table and sweep the floor after dinner. That's a helping attitude. And when we're helping, we're happy.
Mm-hmm.
With Zoe, she's 6, and she loves to help the table and sweep the floor. She doesn't do it perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But my heart is, it's not about the table, it's not about the floor. It's about reinforcing that behavior and that what we do in our family. So I appreciate Zoe. Name the person, name the behavior that I like. I love how you swept that floor, you washed that table, and then attach that characteristic. That's a helping attitude. When we're helping, we're happy. In our family, we have this little song we sing all the time. It's like, when we're helping, we're happy, and we sing as we go, for we love to help Grandpa because we all love him. So now all I have to say is, hey, when we're helping, somebody else say, we're happy. And somebody else say, we sing as we go. So we're just instilling those virtues, those things in our family. When we do this, it helps the child feel seen. It names a behavior. And often we want to base those on the family principles and our North Star. Mm-hmm. And it connects the behavior to the identity and the character of the child. And that makes it a true deep deposit into the child's emotional bank.
It's so powerful. I think one simple shift for families is this. Slow down.
Yeah.
Notice your children's effort more specifically, and it's not even just about the children. Everyone in the house, benefits from this. And it turns generic praise into a trust deposit. So here's the thing, no family is going to get this perfect. Every family makes withdrawals. Every adult gets tired. Every child has their moment, and every house and every home has pressure points. So we're not saying the goal is perfection. We know that that's not possible. The goal is learning how to repair. A genuine apology is one of the strongest deposits a parent or caregiver can make when trust has been strained. Apologies say my relationship with you matters more than my pride, and I care enough to make this right. I want to rebuild what was damaged. We saw that happen actually just the other day on our campus. The apology from an adult to a student, it makes a big difference. For children, especially repairing and apologizing and demonstrating that we're not perfect. It teaches safety. It teaches them that mistakes do not have to end in distance. These are moments that can end in honesty and learning and in reconnection, and that repairs our families.
Yes, Victoria, that is so crucial. That's a good point, because this is the bridge. If I don't have trust, I don't know the situation you're talking about, but I love that Paideia has that in our culture, that one of the adults apologized to a child sincerely, and that's the bridge. That's the bridge into our next series of episodes of dignity preserving, problem solving, conflict resolution. Because we can't have conflict resolution if we don't have trust.
Mm-hmm.
Win-win's not just a technique. Synergy isn't just a technique. Win-win. These are all trust-dependent ways of relating to one another. So if trust is low in any organization, problem solving is threatened. And here's some signs. So here's some signs that we need to repair some trust in our family or the organization. If people are defensive, trust might be low. If they feel attacked or you feel attacked, if we shut down, if people are keeping score, if our family members are resorting to half-truths or outright lies, that isn't punishment moments. Those are moments for me to step back and go in my organization, oh my goodness, I think trust is low. I need to do some repairing. But here, when trust is growing, people feel free to tell the truth, even when they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some indicators that can tell us that trust is growing. If people can sit and listen quietly and listen intently, trust is growing. If they can name what needs to be done and repaired in our organization, our family, trust is growing. If we can work towards solutions without humiliating, shaming, or blaming, trust is growing. So here's the bridge. Before we can ask, how do we solve problems together? We got to first ask, do we have enough trust to solve them well? That's the bridge.
Yeah. I was talking with some teachers the other day, and they were talking about how the students have been telling on themselves, saying, uh-oh, here's a mistake. I did this thing. I made this mistake, and here's how I'm going to solve it, And I said, actually, what's happening is they feel enough safety and trust in your classroom, that they know that they made a mistake and they can just own up to the mistake before you even find out about it. Here's what happened. Here's what I did. And I know it needs to be solved. And I think that shows trust, in our classrooms. So before we close, we like to offer one simple practice families can try this week. It's something small that supports whole person growth. This week's Paideia practice is the 3 deposits challenge. Here's how it goes. Choose one family member, then make 3 intentional deposits this week using Dr. Windsor's power praise phrase. Okay, use their name, describe the desired behavior, and then attach a strength or a characteristic. Make sure that your praise is not vague, but it's specific, something you specifically noticed. For example, Eli, I saw you put your shoes away without being asked. That was responsible. Olivia, I noticed you kept trying even when reading felt hard. One day that's going to be something I say to her. That showed perseverance. Micah, I heard the way you spoke gently to your sister. That was caring and mature. And then at the end of the week, as you've practiced this throughout the week, reflect on this question. What changed when we noticed effort more specifically?
Oh, I can't wait to do that. I'm gonna do that this week. I'm gonna practice it because children and adults both tend to move toward what is noticed.
Mhm.
A theme, you've probably even seen this in our SOPs, a theme I've repeated my whole leadership life at schools and organization is behavior noticed is behavior worth repeating. And I know Miss Lesperance would say, she might even finish that sentence for me. So if we want trust, if we want responsibility, kindness, calm, perseverance, grit, leadership to grow in our homes, we need to get better at noticing them when they appear.
Yes, so powerful. So in the coming episodes, we're going to be exploring how to solve conflicts, reducing power struggles, turn chaos into teamwork, and how to build a family culture where differences become assets. And perhaps the most important, how to renew your personal and family well-being, body, mind, heart, and spirit. So as we end today's conversation, remember that you are also a whole person. Be kind to your body, your mind, your heart, and your spirit.
Be well. And until next time, this is the Paideia Way.